How you
Good
should fall
morning,
out
good
of most
morning.
people.
Well, I fell out of bed this morning.
You could
I,
fall out
I,
with yourself. You could fall
I,
out
I,
with yourself in a telephone box. Let's be honest.
well, I mean, look at me. Do I look as if I'm at one with anything apart from
You
a,
look
a
like a
room full
man.
of lawyers?
You look like a man freshly off the nest.
Wah, wah. Right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another one of these with 1, 2, 3, count them, the three amigos. We are really enjoying all your comments. They've been sensational. We're enjoying the subscribings. So if you want more of this, tap on that. If you just like it and you don't want to really get involved, just hit the like button. So first point of order I'd like to throw into this coven of melancholy. Obviously, it's cup final day, but yesterday, all our troubles seem to be getting very much closer. And Ange Postecoglou had a bear trap set out for Dan Kilpatrick of the Evening Standard. Now, Dan Kilpatrick, I have mixed views on a lot of journalists, and I would include him in that. But this is what actually happened. So Dan published a piece in the Standard before the press conference saying that Ange was teetering on the edge of being between a hero and a clown. Because obviously, as we've had explained to us by our Lord and Master, you can't expect us to do everything. We're only a Deloitte top 10 football club, and something had to give. And this season, it was the league, and that's why we're 17th. So the word clown was used in the thing. Dan asked him effectively the same question, but redacted the word clown. And the John Wayne Gacy of THFC turned a bit nasty. Clearly took umbrage with the printed piece online and gave him very short shrift. And subsequent to that, the story's kind of broken all over the place. But Miguel Delaney, who, if you know anything about football, you know 27 million times more about football than Delaney, who's the most specious journalist I've ever come across, writing a defence piece of Kilpatrick, completely ignoring the fact that this has been a car crash of a season, but making the point, and I just thought it was extraordinary, making the point, and I've got the quote here, at the very least, it seems misguided to make a game of such scale about something so petty, referring to the clown thing. None of that is to say Postecoglou shouldn't take umbrage with the description. He's absolutely entitled to do that. But if he wants to, and this is the funny bit, this is where your disbelief gets dissuspended or unsuspended or let go of, why not do it separately rather than on a stage that should be about much grander elements? So what is he talking about? So he should confront Dan in the car park? They should fight it out over a WhatsApp exchange? You're allowed to say what you want, and I don't think it's unreasonable to refer to Ange as being between a hero and a clown, because he will be thought of very well if we win this game tonight. There's no two ways about it, because he's the guy in charge. But he will be thought of as a clown if he throws away all the competitions we've been involved in, because no other top flight manager at this level in the Premier League comes out with as much tripe and excuses as he has. Oh, it was a pitch. Oh, it was the weather. It was everybody's bored senseless. So that's where we are on the eve of the game. A little bit of handbags in the presser. So, Tony, wonderful to see you. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. I have a sensational suspicion you have a twisted view of what that song is about. And Chris B, fresh back from his international travels. So I can't offer you a foot job or any other class of employment, but how are you, Chris, and how do you feel on this, the eve of war?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Obviously, a somewhat delayed trip back from China, and it's nice to be back speaking with you two brethren.
Is that because you were signing autographs at the airport? Is that why you were delayed?
I think there was an issue with my visa. They were quite keen to get me out of the country.
they saw you on YouTube and had you marked as an undesirable.
Yeah,
and Tony,
like
you're preparing for.
I keep bad company apparently.
Well, there's a lot of truth. There's an awful lot of truth.
Hey, you,
Tony,
Chris. Hey, you, Chris. You COVID man. You COVID man. We don't like COVID here.
you're coming, but you're not eat dog. You're not eat dog.
Yeah.
Protect you.
Two grumpy old friends with dubious sexual histories.
There's nothing dubious about mine. They're all there to see.
I thought it was terrible. It was wonderful.
We loved it.
She was at it all night.
And I wasn't even there.
Yeah. So Tony, what's the mood in the Tony V camper wagon household?
You did say camper wagon, didn't you?
Well, I didn't want to say zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. Just go back to what you said about the article. That Miguel Delaney, what you quoted there was the archetypal equivalent, journalistic equivalent of someone who wants their cake and eat it. Where they're literally covering every single base going. I mean, sorry, have a stance, stick to the stance, and justify your stance, not just say, "Oh, but this, oh, but this, oh, but this, oh, but this." God, that's a bloody joke. Why did he even bother writing it?
I think there's a couple of things that come out of there. When you're in the public view, you're always going to be subject to things coming out, and you've got to have thick skin. But equally, when you are such a narcissist that you start your career by telling somebody you always win something in the second season, then you have to make good that claim, or all the ridicule, memes and humor that come with it you can expect. And if you're not prepared for that, then you can cry, bitch and moan as much as you like, but you're putting yourself on the execution block.
Yeah, every time he talks as well, he keeps going on about his 26 or 27 years of experience and him winning things in all competitions.
Nobody over the age of 12 gives a toss about.
Absolutely. It's just like, yeah, mate, we've heard it before. Yeah, if we really want to analyze it, let's go back. Oh, we got Yokohama foot warmers and and you got Brisbane bollock chops or something like that. And Celtic, where every manager you could put a koala bear in charge, it would still win the bloody league. So no, sorry, Aj, no, not having that. 27 years of basically being an arse, I think is probably more accurate. And he's just gained his true colours shine. Yeah, clown. Is it a great comment journalistically? Possibly not. But even so, the fact that he's read it, the fact that he's picked up on it, and the fact he was ready tells you all about this guy. He's a narcissist and he doesn't like being challenged, and therefore he's going to go for you. And you've got to be bigger than that. You're the manager of an international football club that supposedly has we talk about brand and everything like that. Every time he opens his gob and does stuff like that, the brand just goes down a little bit more.
I think for me, I'll just get this in quickly, but you say about narcissist. I was very keen to point out the fact that this business, the speech that he did in the changing room, which was another, as we've discussed, another Pochettino masterclass in jumping the bloody gun, because we ain't won nothing yet. But my sense is that he knows he's not going to be afforded much of an opportunity, because it's like when the boxing fight is over, the guy that has been beaten to a pulp, he gets to say, yeah, well, maybe we can have a rematch when I can see less than 4 people as I'm talking to you. And then the winner gets to talk and wax lyrically about being magnanimous in victory and, worthy opponent, blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to hear quotes from the loser, because we know the outcome. And it's like the Eurovision Song Contest. Take any contest, and this is one of the things that I think a lot of Tottenham fans are struggling with, that the metric is winning. No matter what the voices in your head have been telling you for whatever period of time, the metric is winning. And unless he wins, nobody gives a flying flip-flop. But the business of that thing where he was thanking Fraser Forster and he was thanking other people who were essentially driftwood. We then got the Sky Sports News, and I'm going to have to mention Capcom again. Google it, kids. You'll see their subscriptions are going through the floor, through the toilet, out into the China Seas, because they've totally misread the room. And they're wanging on about Spurs are in the fun. And who comes off the coach? Fraser Forster and Timo Werner. And he's bringing these people on board. He's clutching them to his bosom because they're human shields. So should he win, he can stand there and go, here's Fraser Forster. He's been a big part of everything, even the guy in the washroom, even my coaching staff. And I've been doing this for 26. This is all to provide leverage for him to do his "This is your life" speech, which nobody wants to hear.
Two things I'll come in with. No detracting from the fact we're in a final tonight, but any manager who can get to a final beating Karabag, beating Fenerbahce, AZ Alkmaar, Rangers, Hoffenheim, Elfsborg, Alkmaar, Eintracht Frankfurt and Bodo Glimt along the way will never have an easier opportunity to make it to a European final, because they are not household names. They're not established teams. It was a Mickey Mouse Cup with low-level competition, and the proof will be in the pudding tonight when we come up against an established Premiership side who are like for like as terrible we are in 16th while we occupy 17th. The second thing, if you're looking for motivational speeches, search social media this morning for the Oliver Glasner speech. After Palace won the Cup, 7 minutes, and he talks about the vision they had in the first game, applauds the players, and that was something from the heart. It wasn't scripted by the Tottenham press department that as was after the Bodo Glimt game. And there's
it wasn't by the hand of Donna Cullen, is what you're telling us there. But Cabbage, mate. Well, Ange, it's not all about winning, and we only lost by 3 goals tonight. What are your thoughts? It kind of went away from us after the second goal, didn't it? But no, I mean, just to come in on this business with Ange, as I say, I think he's preparing his human shields so he can legitimise the self-indulgent twaddle he wants to come out with when they've won. I think it's worth mentioning, I had a couple of exchanges with some people I've been working on and off with over the years, both Manchester United fans, asking me, they're saying, I read your work, but what do you actually really feel? And as usual, I had to break it to them that this isn't an act. And there is a sizable chunk of the fan base. And by that, by the way, if you're watching this at home, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the grown-ups in the group. The people that are shaving, people that have had sex, all those crazy people that you've heard of in the dim and distant past.
Doing both at the same time.
Yeah, man. That's sweep as I clean. But there are people out there who will tell you that he will overshadow this, and this will be an Ange project, and it's all about his vanity. And I just said that, to think that people remarked that Mourinho and Conte were arrogant. They don't even come into the same postcode as this absolute raging narcissist, deeply unpleasant human being. I mean, on the briefly back onto that business of Kilpatrick, I don't blame him, because I know of Kilpatrick. I don't blame him that he didn't use the word clown in context, because he didn't just shout out, "You fat clown," or anything like that. He basically hero or clown, a figure of worth or a figure of fun. That's the reality of where Ange is going to find himself come full time tonight. But I'm not surprised he didn't use the C word on Ange, because basically he's a child. Kilpatrick, I don't mean this in a nasty way. If I'm wrong, and if all the photos of Kilpatrick doing the rounds aren't recent, they were taken when he was 15, then I apologise fully. But he's a child, and it's incredibly naive to think that he would have got a pass from somebody as arrogant and as belligerent as Postecoglou. I mean, a good manager, for my money, would have said, you would have seen somebody with the art and craft of Mourinho would have said to him, "That's a great question, Dan, but it's not really what you put in your article yesterday, is it, you naughty little boy?" And just do the routine whereby you're saying, "I'm much fucking bigger than you, son. Much bigger than you."
But also, here's the thing, though, H. If that question would never have been asked to Mourinho, because he has a world-class CV.
Yeah.
So therefore, it even someone like Mourinho would have batted it back with his usual dry wit and put people in their place. But that question would never have been asked, because he has actually, because in some respects that's the press saying, haven't really won an awful lot. You know, you say you've won a lot,
Yeah.
but actually we don't really regard it as an awful lot. But in terms of this is, and I'm sure there's a lot of us in feeling the same way. And this is going back to your statement of I can hold two separate thoughts in my head, and I have one thought that says, thought number one is I absolutely desperately want to win tonight because fuck me, we need it. Thought number two is I absolutely don't want us to win because I don't want this twat celebrating us winning.
But this is it, and you see what we have here is that we have these two independent thoughts, which is how a fully functioning adult's brain works. But Ange has created this situation because we're in 17th. If Spurs were in 10th, right, which is not great, but if we were 10th, 8th, 7th, whatever. And he wouldn't be between hero and zero, which is perhaps a more less aggressive way of saying, hero or clown. I think clown kind of reflected the fact that once you go beyond, because I mean, Kilpatrick isn't 5 years old, but he's a young kid. He's a young kid. I mean, if you see that Tom Colomosi, who did the job before him, there was a grown up. He did the cricket, he did the tennis, he did Spurs. We knew what we were getting with him because he was a grown up. But Kilpatrick, he would have been better off, I think, in my view. He would have been less naive to have done hero and zero. Because if Ange said, I'm not a zero, well, you're 17th in the bloody division. You explain to me what isn't zero about that. You've got 3 deadbeat teams beneath you that are saving you from being relegated. You look pretty close to zero from where I'm sitting. And as Chris pointed out quite rightly, look at who we've beaten. And again, this is the holding two thoughts thing again. Oh, don't say that. It's not fair. I want to just get you on the one thought. Yes, we've beaten all these clubs. You can't dictate over who you play. But equally, the other thought is that most of them were between 6s and 9s and 10s to 1. You can't ignore that. You can't ignore it.
And also, Man United haven't lost a game in the Europa League this season.
No.
Boom, boom.
Truth bomb. and look at what they did.
Drop the bomb, Tony.
It's like Dr. Strangelove.
I'm coming up your ass, Bill.
But they, in the second, especially in the second leg, okay, they had the advantage of getting someone sent off, but they still took advantage of it and buried the game in the first leg. And in the second leg, yeah, they went 1-0 down, but they came back with some pretty darn good football. I know. My good mate of mine is a Man United supporter. He said they were terrible in the first half, in that second game, but he said they absolutely stepped up and murdered them in the second half. And given how we
most of the season, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. But if they produce that sort of level of performance,
and you still look at the options in midfield, Bruno Fernandes still remains a hell of a player. You've got Diallo on the wing who's capable. You've got Ugarte through the middle. You've got Mason Mount, who in one game was proclaimed the Ballon d'Or winner. So you've still got options from midfield. And what are we going for? Let me guess, Basuma, Sarr, and Bentancur. Where's the creativity or innovation there? Who's finding the wide players? Who's bringing the forwards into play? We haven't got a capable ball player in that side.
I don't see it at all. I mean, I was going to go through the team. Well, we were obviously going to talk about the specifics of the team before we smashed the studio up and walked out. But I mean, you look at that squad, and because we know who it's going to be, it's probably going to be Solanke up front. Richarlison is a secret weapon, and the really uncreative mob in midfield, as you say, Basuma. I can't get excited. The two Man United guys that I spoke to, they both said, "Oh, it could go either way." Until about 2/3 through the conversation, when they said a lot of Manchester United fans have absolutely had it with United this season. They're disgusted they've fallen so far down the table, but they think they've got enough to do us. And they're actually thinking the fact that, and this is the counter of what I've been thinking, telling people the last couple of days. They actually think that they are benefiting from it being another very a very easy to analyse Premier League side. Whereas, and this is a point I think I made last week, if we'd have got FC Barely Athletic from downtown, wherever it is, Bananastan somewhere, we'd be like, yeah, well, we don't really know what to expect, haven't really heard of their players, blah, 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 all this sort of thing. But they know us inside out. They haven't done very well against us. That's for sure, but not all of those games had Ruben Amorim in charge, and his build-up to this particular finale has been very low key. They've not hired a bus. They're having a barbecue. He's talking about that he doesn't feel that he's made the progress that he wanted to. And he's kind of doing a little bit of reverse psychology, because you hear him speak. He's clearly not a dummy. Whereas Ange is this is a firefighter, and I refer everybody to my remarks previously about a guy running around with a bucket full of butane, throwing it onto the lashing flames, and then complaining that everybody's against him. And I think that the differences between these two individuals, because I don't think Postecoglou is a man in any shape or form, I think is pretty stark indeed. And if I was looking at this game as an outsider, I would have to go with the bookmakers, because therein lies the path of common sense. If a horse is 20-1, it's 20-1 for a reason. It's probably not going to make it round the track. And we've moved. The prices have moved a little bit, but they've moved farther away. And Manchester United more comfortably favourites, and Spurs
Going to your midfield,
about 2.5 to 1, something like that.
Going on to your mid, you're talking about the team and what have you. I just keep coming back to this idiocy about playing Kulusevski.
Unbelievably naive.
And all the Ange section. Oh, he needed the minutes. Yeah, well, that worked out well, didn't it?
Played 37 games this season. He looked like he'd been to Chernobyl once or twice, and he looked like he was dragging himself through polluted swamps. So why he needed the minutes is beyond me.
How you said, how naive is that to play our last creative player in a game that didn't mean anything? And lots of people saying, oh, well, all these Premier League games haven't meant anything since January. Well, tell that to all the people that pay their hard-earned money to go watch them.
Well, this is classic Ange, though, Tony. He wants it both ways. He wants to sit there and smugly decry his dementors, his detractors, and say, well, we couldn't keep all the balls in the air, so this is why we're just going like this now with the Europa League.
Do you know it'd be refreshing, and it won't happen, but I would love it if we turned up tonight and said, look, it's all or nothing. Let's go 2 up front, 2 wide players, and 2 through the middle. So you know what that's called? 4-4-2. So we had maybe Son up top with Solanke, Richarlison out on the left, Brennan Johnson on the right, through the middle, maybe Basuma and Bentancur, because we've got to get the ball into the wide areas. We need wide men to be putting balls into the box, because we know Onana is about as effective as a chocolate tea cozy. So we've got to be shooting from range. We've got to put him under pressure. Because I'd say the same
of our goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, well, what they will be doing, if they've got anything about them, they will be targeting Slabhead, will be targeting Vicario from every corner and free kick. Yeah. He will be getting in his way, because aerially, nobody can match that man from Tottenham. And it's all about shoot on sight. And out of the two, Amorim's got more tactically about him from what we've seen at Lisbon than Ange. But no, we will go 4-3-3 as we have done for 107 times this season. It won't work, and we'll get caught with our pants down. We've got to try something different.
I noticed a report somewhere this morning. It doesn't matter where. It was just one of the mainstream things, and they made the point that the Ange ball as a system had been
died in the 11th game last season.
Yeah, but they put it more generously than that. It was like it had been so heavily adapted that it no longer existed, which is a very polite way of saying, yeah, well, just because I haven't lost my car keys. It's just I don't fancy taking the car today, and I'm going to walk the 75-mile journey into work. But that's what I mean. The jig is up for this freak. That's the reality.
You were in the gig is up for this fat fuck for one moment, weren't you?
I nearly thought of saying
but
that.
You're far too professional for that. I'll do it on your behalf.
Thank you very much. I mean, I thought this is a family show, and I've got the rest of the Fritzels outside, and they get very upset when that sort of language is used. So anyway, Tony, how's the paving going in your back garden? Any sleepless nights at the moment?
just don't get anybody to come around with ground penetrating radar. That's all I say.
We had time team round last night. Once I realised I'd survived a heart attack, I told to get the fuck out of here.
Like I said, these bones are a bit more recent than we normally get. You know?
Mind you, they're quite characteristic of a high-value person because their diet isn't that for a middle-aged.
Well, that was Upminster, Tony. He's never been heard or seen of again.
We found these bones in amongst these McDonald's wrappers. We were thinking it might be late 2024.
But yeah, no, I mean I think the mood. I mean, listen, I'm doing these daily short reels on here and on Facebook, and what they're quite good for is getting that instant feedback of fans that are online, want to engage, not just coming to see us once a week. Because curiously enough, the audience is very different. It's almost, I'd say, 40% of this audience are watching the reels, and the other 60% are more into you and Tony, and aren't giving me their spare change. But the reality is you're getting a very good view, and the lack of, I mean, you're still getting the occasional sort of pompous comment about, well, I hope this club goes up in flames because you've got thrown a great man under the bus here and all this, and they're all the good day mob, which isn't on every Australian, because I know both on here and on my Substack, I've got some excellent people in that part of the world who comment.
Does that include your boyfriend who you kicked me and Tony into touch for recently? You bastard.
My Jewish boyfriend, just to really, really, really upset the diversity boxes.
Does he love Gary Lineker too?
Gary Lineker is, I think, is an example to us all. Anybody who couldn't spot the cartoon caricature of a rat that was bigger than the font size of the headline of the thing that he was casually resharing on Instagram. What a disreputable little miscreant he is. And I think, and this is the other thing, you get all of these, apart from these free plasticine imbeciles that are still stalking the planet, the general rule of thumb is, sick to death of you, just give us the football. We actually liked you as a footballer. I mean, it was like Graham Roberts before he became a Street Fighter 2 Turbo cocaine-fueled mental patient. Loved you as a footballer, but all this other stuff isn't helpful at all. I mean, he was threatening. I did a thing on the old blog a couple of years ago. He was threatening to meet somebody at a game at the Lane at 1:30 in the morning. I'll put you straight, son.
Mate, I don't know, mate. That description of Graham Roberts, mate, sounds like you're deflecting an awful lot there. You're projecting, I think.
Well, it wasn't. Well, I hadn't hacked his fucking Twitter account. I was telling some bloke who was clearly sober and saying, "I don't think you should be behaving like this as a club legend." He was saying, "Just be there and bring your mates and bring your dinner." And giving it the old Larry Large one. Clearly oblivious.
Did the club reach out to him as an ambassador and ask him to delete or retract that statement?
Well, I've got a feeling they did, because I managed to get screenshots of everything, publish it. By the time I put the thing out, the account was heavily redacted, and you wouldn't have recognised it from the shape it was in at, as I say, in the wee small hours the night before. Absolute Fruit Loop. But this is the deal with Lineker. So hell bent on being sanctimonious and right and balanced and even, that doesn't really care where he gets his facts from. As Tony said there the other week, his facts don't quite align with other facts. And a lot of these people just spewing out stuff which has come from Hamas in a different, wearing a different badge. But we've seen all this happen in the States as well with the economy there. And that's why some people think it's okay to set fire to a Tesla car. But then that's what the left do. They just destroy. They don't contribute anything at all. Not in the 21st century, anyway. So I think most people, if you get the sort of the popular Vox on it, the Vox Pop even, are saying this. Please just make it stop. And I think that for a lot of people, that's as far as I'll go. I think for a lot of people, it sounds a bit hysterical to say that winning the trophy tonight would be tainted, but I think it'll mean somewhat a different thing than it ordinarily would. Because normally you just go into a final and all of your gripes and groans, and I speak from experience, I mean, you tell me if I'm making this up, but all your gripes and groans go out the window and you just want to kill the other lot. You want to win. And you want to parade their heads on sticks around the village, steal their women and set fire to everything. That's how you go into a cup final.
And you want to flash and show everybody your finalist engraved designer Swiss wristwatch.
With finalist written on it, because we couldn't fit any bigger words on, and there were no other words needed or required.
What makes me laugh, very typical of this football club, we have already coordinated with our neighbours and told them the bus route that will take place should we win the open top bus parade that will take place on Friday.
What, for winning the ropey? For winning the ropey?
Yeah.
Oh, good God. Yeah. Oh, let's just add more fuel to the ridicule fire that we're going to suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, somebody was talking to me about this the other day, and the idea is the fact that they've put it so close. I think it's because of the bank holiday weekend, and isn't there some other final on as well? Isn't it?
It'll be the playoffs, won't it? Well,
So as far as the policing and all the rest of it's concerned, they've had to nudge it into the Friday. It'll be so quick that a lot of people won't be back. I mean, some people will. Some people will start travelling home the minute the final whistle goes, but others will have, taken a couple of days and all the rest of it. And I would have thought that it would make more sense to leave it, but no, it's bang bang. Let's get it out. But I think and also they were very, very, very slow to get involved with fans watching at the stadium. And again, I think
I've got some good gossip on that.
Oh, go on then.
We know that we sometimes cynical of these people that become Daniel Levy's personal cash account. Well, somebody on this call at this moment in time is going tonight to watch the game on the big screen at the stadium. Any guesses who?
It's not the guy with the hat on, is it?
Well, strike me down. You're right.
So then, you Miami Dolphins supporting freak, is there anything you'd like to tell the jury before you have a fair trial, swiftly followed by a fair hanging?
I would just like to say, don't ever trust Chris with any form of confidential information.
Chris doesn't even know my real name or where I live. He thinks I'm living in Birmingham.
Sorry, Alexander.
That's all right, Michael. That's all right, Michael.
Oh dear. What would I like to say in my defence, Chris? You cunt. Next time that be on time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but unfortunately, that's inadmissible because we all knew that a long time ago. So what new mumbling would you like to present before the court?
I kind of got. I thought. Why not? I don't care. Go on. Bring it on, gentlemen. I'll be like the guy in the Matrix. Come on, let's have this. Let's have some of that.
Are you and your family going with painted faces?
I don't know about painted face. Well, painted faces. That's my weekend look, mate. So come on, just be reasonable about that. But I'm going with my wife and my daughter, my youngest daughter, who's very passionate. She goes to loads more games than I do. So she said, "Let's go together. Let's all go and we'll make it even." I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's do a bit of a family thing. I love
the way you're spread betting this. My daughter is a massive fan. We were going as a family. That's another thing that can distance ourselves from the reality. No, listen, mate. You'll have a great time either way. I mean, where else are you going to have on a school night the opportunity to spend so much on food and drink?
It's a tenner for the actual ticket to go in the stadium. And I'm telling the missus we're getting a McDonald's outside. Fuck them.
It would certainly be cheaper. Meal deals all round.
But
And
yeah, I thought,
what
what the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
What the hell? Well, you listen. I mean, you're a very recognisable figure, and if we lose, I'm sure you will be targeted by the incels who will throw their Minecraft toys at you from the McDonald's promotion.
I'll just say sorry. You've got me confused. My name's Harry Hotspur.
And Chris, what are you doing I mean, obviously you'll be naked as you normally do when you're watching games at home. But what else?
Dodgy fire stick.
Chris, that fire stick yourself, he was very reliable. I certainly recommend.
I only watching the nude when I'm with you, as you obviously give one of the best hand jobs I've ever experienced.
It's actually
a man of your ears has such a significant experience in those circumstances.
It's actually part of a medical condition I have, and normally I'm just handing my tablets, but you like to watch me shake and then get involved. But
you say medical condition. Most of us say sexual deviant, but there you go.
And you all aspire to be a sexual tyrannosaurus, I can assure you.
Walking with dinosaurs. Wanking with dinosaurs.
Or wanking with dinosaurs, as it's actually known in that part of the country.
Yeah.
So what do we think? Let's have here we go. Here's the other thing I mentioned the other day. So taking us away from the hand-to-hand fighting of Ange looking for reasons to have a dig at somebody. I've noticed a few comments recently, and talking about Thomas Frank and talking about our friend at Crystal Palace, and there's a few others names doing the rounds for months and months and months and months. So what do you think? Because my view is thusly. My view is, who in their right freaking mind is going to say, yeah, I'll take this Tottenham job?
I think
because I don't care.
I think if we win tonight and we somehow by fluke and land a position in the Champions League, all of a sudden it becomes an attractive proposition.
That's actually a very good, decent comment. I think Champions League
for once.
Well, I didn't want to say anything. I've got it written down on a bit of card here in an envelope marked "Do not open." under any circumstances. But well, no, I mean, I think you're right. I think that's a hell of a carrot.
Yeah, Chris sold me out so bloody easily. He'd have opened that envelope by now.
Yeah, he didn't sell you out. He gave you away. He just gave you away.
Yeah, you on offer.
I would just like to offer in my defence, Millard. How many games have you been to, Chris, this season?
Ooh. Actually, I could just have a look through my WhatsApp.
About 19, 20, yeah.
Oh! Now, yep. So
yeah, but I sit with the prawn sandwich brigade. I'm fully corporate. I don't.
Methinks you doth protest too much.
No, I tell you what I think. I think that he bought his ticket in advance because he's a corporate, high net worth, heavy hitter, and you, despite everything, have done the gay boy 10 quid a ticket routine, and you are beneath our contempt. That's what I think. No. I mean, I love you dearly, but you're hiding in plain sight, mate. You've decided. You saw a window of opportunity and decided to leap out of it, as Arthur Davies
when you're on so many international watch lists as Tony is, you've got to be very careful. You're very surveillance conscious.
I don't know about that, Chris. I'm just gobsmacked. You're not even on a no-fly list. Come on, let's get real about it.
Well, hang on. You did see the paperwork. He had to make about 3 applications to get back out.
I was going to say, is that really what happened? Was it he was sipping his champagne? They went, Mr. Barrifer, you are no-fly list. Get up.
Oh, Mr. Cleese.
I went to China, not Jamaica. Next, you'll be telling me that Bissouma was there trying to sell me a knockoff Rolex.
Mate, you would have. But with Bissouma, you would have got home you'd have been a happy chappy by the time you got home with all that nitrous oxide he loves. He loves sniffing.
Well, if you experience British Airways customer services, all the drugs would work, I can assure you.
Bloody hell. Unbelievable.
So this is the other one I'd like to throw at you. Hands up, or just a grunt or a moan or whatever.
Well,
Has anybody...
Tony will have to put his knees in place first before he shows what his hands up to.
Has anybody been following the story about Hyun Sung Min and his bribery? They're calling it.
The surprise was that he's actually lost his virginity, from my perspective, which probably broke the hearts of many.
With a human,
yeah, with many a young man and girl out there.
Oh, but Chris, he's a manly man because he's done his national service. He did his national service, didn't he? He's a manly man. He's a very. I would be very careful what you say about him, mate. He's a very good shooter. He's a very good aimer by all accounts. He's very accurate with his shooting.
You could get a frozen broadbean in your
15 pints.
But I would say the shooting bit is not necessarily game related, more rifle related.
Well, anyway, to answer my own question, as you too busy making sexual innuendos at everybody's expense, apart from mine yet, I'm sure that's incoming.
No, that's not. No, it's not. There will be none because you're not worthy. We nothing you.
But no, apparently, according to sources in the Korean media, yes, it looks like he has been blackmailed, but that doesn't appear to be in much doubt. But yes, it also looks as if he paid the woman off initially, and she then got
shacked. Say she was a hooker, and he paid her for services rendered.
I couldn't comment, speculate, or deny on anything related to that. And again, as I say, lovely home. I hope to see you in it again soon.
I think the word you need to add to your particular comment there was allegedly. Yes.
Well, my sources were very good. The Boy Hotspur and Tony V.
He just keeps digging. He just keeps on digging. The man who digs deeper.
Well, I was listening to this podcast, and this bloke Chris said that Sonny had scalped a brass and run off.
Well, it's the Dan Fitzpatrick School of Reporting, no less. Speculation and
speculate at the occasional sound of a vehicle reversing. But yeah, so apparently he's paid this woman off. She's then got shacked up with some new bow on her arm. And he said, "What? You got money out of him? Let's get some more." And they've gone back. And that's when it's turned into blackmail. But apparently it's all right to cash them off in the first instance. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the second instance where the new boyfriend comes in. And it's funny how it's reported in Korea, because obviously they're culturally very different people. But she had a mask on. She was one of these early adopters of the nappy thing. But they said that she wasn't allowed to wear a baseball cap or a balaclava or have a bag over her head or anything. So her identity, although they can't report it, is pretty bloody known. But she looked quite cute. I mean, if you're into women with pixelated faces, which obviously Sonny is. But I'd just be more interested to know how much he dropped her. Because he has paid her off, according to those. I read two different reports of two different Korean outlets. But I wonder, will he have shaken that off, and will he be anywhere near back to where he ought to be?
He probably gave her a couple of. He probably gave her a couple of gift cards to Paris Baguette. You know,
and a good non-disclosure agreement.
drawn up by his Uncle Daniel.
No, his dad. No. His dad, through the Sonny documentary, probably told him what position to adopt.
Well, no, there's only one position in that family, and it's chained to the radiator. I'll be back in the morning to work on your heading.
The fact that Chris goes straight to a non-disclosure agreement says an awful lot more about Chris than anything else, actually.
Yeah, you're getting very emotional, mate. But we now know you've spent tenors all around to take the folks out.
I've got a whole file of them. One. Color tabs, bricks, depending on the situation.
Yeah. You've got more bricks.
So what's that? The Fritzl NDA.
Well, when you're friends with Harry Hotspur, who is an idol of his, yeah, it's between that and the Peter Sutcliffe one.
There's nothing wrong with a good ball hammer. I mean, every home should have one. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I think humour is proving a comfort. not just throughout the season, but certainly in preparation for this big game. Any thoughts on what the score might be, or is this just the realms of fantasy I'm wandering into now?
I think our efforts tonight will mask a film called A Bridge Too Far.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that bridge is going to explode, and I sadly feel that United will get the better of us, and I think it's going to be 2-1.
I'm going to go.
Obviously, hope to be massively proven wrong for once. And
because we wouldn't want to say anything that marks us out as Leicester fans. Like, you know, I mean, you and I, Chris, sitting watching at home off being powered by the local lamppost, whereas Tony will be travelling with his family to show he's a proper fan.
And he'll have a flag, and he'll be buying a jumbo hot dog, and he'll have one of them foam hands. Go on, you Tottenham Thundercats!
Come on, you Spurs! Come on, you Spurs!
Tottenham Thundercats, abbreviated as cunts. And he's gonna be the full corporate ticket tonight. Go Tone, go Tone, go Tone.
I've got to ask,
and shame on you both. Shame on you both.
Ashanda.
But we get criticised for talking honestly, and if you've watched the shite that we have this season, and seen the ban average players that we got, and seen the fact that we will line up 4-3-3,
honestly,
and the outcome is inevitable.
I honestly couldn't. I really, normally you get a lot of feeling. You think, oh well, probably going to be 2-1. I really can't call this one. It really, really does depend, not necessarily on who us turns up, because I don't think our lineup is good enough anyway to win. But if we do win, brilliant. But it really does depend which Man United turns up. If it's the Man United of the second half against Bilbao, we're gonna lose. It's that simple.
I think the burning issue for me is not so much what the score will be, but what are you going to be wearing tonight, Tony?
I told you, my usual weekend attire. So
at least you'll have something in your mouth to keep you quiet for the game.
I couldn't possibly comment, Christopher.
Zed's dead, baby.
I think it's absolutely slanderous. It's disgraceful. It's basically
it's a tenner ahead, and you're there early for it.
Yeah, it's disgraceful. It's terrible. I loved it.
I thought it was amazing. I'm going back next week.
Just think, we'll be scrolling through social media, and there'll be people posting pictures of them with Tony V.
Yeah,
I met Tony V.
I was with Tony V. I remember where I was the day I met Tony V.
If nobody sees me tomorrow, please call
at least I could go out without being accused of being a sex pest. So I'm quite happy on that basis.
H is very proud of the fact he's single. He's using Grindr and whatever else it is daily.
Growler is my
I must admit, on your daily videos, I'm very impressed with the blue screen you've got in the background, pretending to be actually out somewhere. That's quite impressive.
Well, I thought it was great actually, because there've been comments come from people that I didn't expect. So, for example, it was very nice. I did one outside the cathedral in Brum, and people, 3 or 4 comments. People go, there we go, a Christian church in a good Christian country. And I thought, this is nice. And then yesterday, I sat outside the Bullring, and all these just local people going past, and Yashmaks and all the rest of it. I said, I would ask if you're in Dubai, but I'm not going to.
Yeah. What they actually really didn't say was they hadn't quite finished that thought. Outside the cathedral in a good Christian country, shave out the cunt in front of it.
I do hope nothing awful happens to you and your loved ones this evening in the melee. I hope the crowd don't identify you and turn on you when the Man United goals start to go in.
The next article will be in memoriam.
Yeah, the sociopath Tony uncovered for what he is: misogynistic, homophobic.
Requiem for a deviant.
Yeah,
that'll be the headline.
The amount of projection going on here, gentlemen, is off the scale.
Yeah, and you deserve every word of it.
Yeah, you deserve every syllable. We've heard it all. It's £10 a head. You're travelling halfway across the country to shout "Go Team" after the hours of bloodletting you've done on here. I don't even know. You mustn't even have any mirrors in your house.
Excuse me. I will offer two reasons for my defence, Millard. First of all, there's nothing wrong with being like Ange. Second of all, I can hold two independent thoughts in my head, as you've oft quoted. So therefore, right back at you.
Don't let your wife know
and here
that
we
fact.
have your lawyer, who is also doubled as a banana skin.
H, why have you got an empty banana skin at hand?
Because I ate a banana, and unlike you, I just don't throw trash on the floor, so it's on my desk.
Yeah.
He likes the feel of it on his private parts. That's what it is.
We know what you do with them when you get them home, don't we?
I've heard the story about what goes on H's desk, so I'm very suspicious.
Yeah, it's seen some good service, this desk.
Yeah, before it collapsed.
Good for a late night snack. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I say, was he out with his chub? Was he giving action to his chubby mate? Was he? That's what it was.
Well, no, Ange wasn't round.
I've never had Postecoglou on the premises.
Yeah.
So any more? I mean, I could sit and talk to you for days, but I've got a packed program tonight. I need to be in the pub.
But you'd be peeking through the blinds when you heard the sounds of a siren.
Well, I've shown people what a generous and deeply caring person I am since I've moved here, because the children's hospital is across the way, across the bypass. So you do get the occasional woo woo. Well, you can't begrudge a sick child, can you?
Have you checked that you're outside the distance for your restraining order? That's what I like to know.
Oh, I'm all right. It's Birmingham. You can go anywhere. You can go literally anywhere. It's not actually on the map on all those systems. It's one of the reasons I moved here. You don't have to keep your tag on or report anywhere. You're just all free to wander around in the same goldfish bowl.
Tell you what, you'd fit in well in China. You'd enjoy their way of life.
Who, me?
Yeah, you'd find it quite liberating.
Am I missing something here?
No, you'd embrace the way they live as a nation.
What does that mean, Tony?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he's trying to get at here. You kind of look.
I'm very nervous. Yeah, I'm very nervous because he looks very happy, which means something dreadful's about to happen.
Yeah, I think that you'd fit in with the communist beliefs.
Yeah, you mean I'd be on a solitary confinement within about an hour?
Yeah, you'd be embracing the grind.
Solitary confinement. God, you'd be so lucky.
I'd wrap myself in the growler, I think.
A hairy growler.
And that's all from the Fetid Oyster Club. And we'll be speaking to you soon.
I think tonight we need to pray to whoever you pray to. And we need to just get over the line. However we get over the line, I don't care. But we need to come together for 90 minutes, hopefully get a victory. And then if we win it, we can say fuck off Ange.
Oh, should we sing Kumbaya as well, Chris?
If he loses, we can double shout, really scream, and make as much noise and say fuck off Ange. But
the good thing is, though, I mean, if we are going to all join hands and hold the deep spiritual prayer, we'll be able to actually do it with Tony live on the telly.
Yeah, we can live stream it.
Have you put out a press release to let everybody know that you're going?
I have. Trust me, I've done it on his behalf.
I'm still waiting for my press pass to come through, but they've just turned around and said "fuck off."
What block are you?
We could have Tony on the pitch after the game interviewing Ange. That'd be brilliant.
Oh, well, if he's in the top of the South Stand, he'll probably find himself on the pitch.
What block am I in? What block am I in? Solitary confinement block.
Prisoner cell block H.
Yeah. I like I'm really going to open that avenue up, aren't I?
No, we're not going to tell anybody, and this isn't going to go out until after.
In fact, I think you sent me a screenshot of your ticket, Tone. Let me just have a look on my WhatsApp channel.
Methinks you speak the bullshit, Mr. Beresford.
There you go. You've disclosed my surname publicly. Well done.
what an asset to the firm you are. You can tell
You're selling me out, mate. I'm going to absolutely roast you, you bastard.
My mum's told me about old men like you. I've got to be very careful.
So will you be doing that trick tonight? It's your big occasion where you whip your cap off and put the light bulb in your mouth and make it go.
What's his name? Sticky Vicky.
Oh dear, what a cunt. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Which one of the two of us are you referring to?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure there is a plural of that word, but might help if you put an S on the end.
I just think that you're both here. You can just decide for a bit amongst yourselves.
Tony, you're obviously going to be in fear of your own personal safety and that of your close family this evening.
Well, I am now. Thank you to erstwhile Mr. Chris B.
But can I ask you before you become so tense you can barely speak, having the security of your home, what do you think the score might be? Chris has gone for 2-1.
I think.
Is that to Spurs, Chris? Is it 2-1 to Spurs?
To those Mancunian folk, I feel.
Oh, okay.
I hope to be proven wrong. In fact, I massively hope to, but I just can't see it.
Yeah, honestly, I am really torn on this one because I really don't know which way it's going to go. Apart the obviously the optimist in me, we win by whatever 1-0. Absolutely, I'll take it. Whatever 95th minute goal in the 95th minute, I'll take it. But the pessimist in me and the journey we've had this year, in terms of the absolute abjectness of it. And it's just going to be, you got the likes of, in the last few years, you've had West Ham win a trophy. This year you've had Crystal Palace win a trophy. It would just be absolutely Spursy of us to screw this up, wouldn't it? It would just be so typically Spursy to screw this up. And that's where I kind of feel.
But coming back to Journey, didn't they once say, "Don't stop believing"?
You and your family can sing that as the crowd come towards you with their lit torches.
Yeah, but obviously it'll sound a bit better than that attempted rendition.
I think what we should do...
Apologies to any dogs in agony right now out there.
I think what we should do is an act of goodwill to our close personal friend is I'll mock up some posters saying, "If you see this man at the ground tonight, please don't tip a drink over his head because he's a lovely bloke and he's with his wife and daughter." I think I'm about to have a heart attack. Actually,
if I get any form of abuse, I'm just going to say I know the address of a sexual pervert, Chris.
Right, I'm going to go with my prediction because I think it's important that people know where I stand on this matter. I think it could go to either Manchester United or go to Spurs, something like 3-1. I think it would be quite an emphatic scoreline. And so I'm telling you either or to side could win 3-1. But I think what will make the difference is who scores first. And I think this Spurs side is so mentally fragile, got so many key players missing, that if Man United were to bundle the ball over the line in the opening 5-6 minutes, they would win it because they would get the advantage of that early momentum.
Well, given the way the season's gone, can you just not imagine Mickey getting a hamstring within the first 10 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. I can just see it being a game where I don't know. I mean, the trouble is you predict things, you're making things up as you go along, aren't you? But I can just see it being a game that kind of shows what the season has been about for Spurs. I don't really know about Manchester United. I don't really care about them. I don't want to.
Vicario trying to be Vicario, playing out from the back and promptly bouncing one in off of a down closing Højbjerg.
But what you said, though, Chris, was true earlier, though, Chris. You've got two goalkeepers who are about as flaky as you can possibly be, which makes the score even more difficult to predict because it's not like you've got Vicario and you've got Alisson. It's not like you've got Vicario and Alisson. You've got Vicario and Onana, who are both the as you say the the football equivalent of vampires.
Yeah.
So honestly, who knows? Who knows?
As flaky as somebody does a podcast every week, slacking off the team, and then goes to the final with his family.
Yeah, what sort of person does that?
And Tony V is here at the ground tonight, sponsored by Flip Flop, the well-known international shoe manufacturer.
I don't see it as flip flopping. I see it as more as contributing funds for the next manager.
Well, the next manager of the McDonald's in Stratford.
Yeah. I didn't say what manager, did I?
Tony's contributing towards the next golf course development. Well done, you.
Yeah. I had nothing to do with the tree. I swear to God, I had nothing to do with the tree.
All I know is if it wasn't for people like you, Tony, men like you, there wouldn't be a fountain in the foyer of the new hotel.
I just think it's absolutely reprehensible that you two reprobates who don't support your club enough to actually go to the final tonight. Honestly, I think it's disgusting, and you should be ashamed. You should be wearing your masks.
Yeah.
Support your team. Support your team. How dare you? How dare you rain down on our parade?
Which has been artificially brought forward in case too many people show up.
Yeah.
Right. Any more for any more?
Go away, you bastards.
And just before we say goodbye, perhaps for the last time to Tony. Listen, folks, enjoy tonight's game. And remember, all breakages must be paid for. And a lot of stuff will be exempt from your home contents insurance.
And just make sure I get to Middlesex Hospital intact.
What do you mean? You're not intact. Right, thank you very much, everybody. And before Tony has second, third, and fourth doubts about leaving the house tonight.
To do is to dare. To do is to dare. Remember that, motherfuckers.
To do is to dare.
To do is to dare.
Isn't it to dare is to do?
Well, whatever I say it is, as I generally make the language as we go along.
Or dare effacere, which is in the old money is, oh no, it's fucked again. Thank you very much. Good luck and keep it on.
Hey, I've worked out
they all go quiet when he's switching it off, don't they?